They will take it with no more consent than I would give a junkie to rob me at gunpoint. I believe that as a child of God, created equal to any pandering politician who manages to lie, cheat, and steal his way to D.C., I have the right to my own life, to the liberty required to preserve it, and to the property I acquire without force or fraud against another. If my government does not believe in this law of nature's God, if my government acts contrarily to this truth, if the fallible human beings occupying the government in this once great nation, if they would place themselves above God and strip me of my rights as if I were no more than a serf in their feudal empire, if today's government will continue to destroy the ideals of America because they are more pro-government than they are pro-liberty, then I suppose I am anti-government. We have too long been enthralled to the idea that we are free simply by merit of the existence of a ballot box. If slaves were allowed to choose their own master, they would still be slaves. The greatness of America was always her liberty. And if her government has become slave masters, then being anti this government is the only pro-American stand. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jessica. Like I said, they lit a fire in her. The feds messed with the wrong person. Okay. Our keynote speaker here is Mr. Leo Lindbeck III. Leo is a husband, father of 5, and president and CEO of Aquinas Companies, LC, the parent company of 7 values-driven enterprises, construction management, stone and masonry specialty contracting, turnkey contract structures, patented products for highway construction industry, medical products, manufacturing, life science prevention technology, development, and real estate development. Aquinas' unusual structure and business practices have inspired tremendous employee loyalty, with an average tenure among senior managers of more than 20 years, as well as making a significant community impact through an annual tithe of its net income. In addition, Leo teaches MBAs as an adjunct professor at both Rice University's Jones Graduate School of Business and Stanford's Graduate School of Business, where he serves as lecturer and MBA class of 1979 lecturer for 2008-2009. Leo graduated from Notre Dame with 2 bachelor degrees, one in civil engineering and one in the program of liberal studies. He went on to graduate school at the University of Texas at Austin, earning a master's degree in structural engineering. Some years later, he entered Stanford's MBA program, graduating as the only student in the history of the GSB to be both valedictorian and winner of the Arbuckle Award, which is the person voted by his classmates to have made the greatest contribution to the school. While at Stanford, he was chair of the academic committee and founder of the Global Management Program. Leo serves on the board of advocates for Choice Schools, Chantel Cookware Free Enterprise Institute, Holocaust Museum Houston, the Methodist Hospital Research Institute, and Young Presidents Organization Houston chapter. Excuse me. He is a member of the University of Texas Civil Architecture Environmental Engineering Department, External Advisory Committee, the Positive Coaching Alliance National Advisory Board, the Advisory Council of the Greater Houston Community Foundation, and the Rice University Centennial Campaign Cabinet. He also chairs the Lindbeck Family Charitable Foundation. Mr. Lindbeck is obviously a busy man. I even left a few things out, but if I kept reading, he'd never get to speak. So it is my privilege to introduce Mr. Leo Lindbeck III.
Thank you. I'm a little bit like Sundance Kid. I do better when I move. so I'm gonna be walking up here. I am a Tea Party rookie. This is my first Tea Party event that I've ever been to. In fact, I have a confession to make. I am a political free rider. For most of my life, I've had no political involvement whatsoever. I've been focused on my marriage, my family. I have 3 of my kids here with me today. The other 2 decided that they'd better deal with their mom today than with me. And I've also been focused on building a business and working in my community. But about 1.5 years ago, I had an experience that I think many of you shared, where I looked out and saw what was happening, seeing the changes in the political environment, changes in our country, and became concerned. Was I wasting all my time? Was I spending so much effort trying to create a great life for myself and my kids? And I was going to leave them with a political system that was broken and put all that at risk. What I found was, in talking with other people who were business leaders in the community, was that this was not a unique feeling. This was something that was shared by many people. And a group of us got together and created an entity called the Citizen Leader Alliance. And we created this not knowing what we were going to do. It just seemed like a hopeless problem. It also seemed like we were just a small group of folks in one city in Texas, and what could we do about it? The first thing we did was we tried to figure out where the leverage points were and what we could do to affect change. And so today, I'm here to give you a message of hope and change. And this is, I think, real hope for real change. And I want to kind of walk you through what we identified as being the key problems, the key challenges that faced our nation. And then I want to talk about the strategies that we're employing to change those problems and solve them. And then finally, I'd like to make some suggestions about what you all can do yourself to participate in this change. The reality is this is a bottom-up approach to changing our governance system. And you have to decide this on your own. I'm just like you. I mean, I was just standing out there by myself, chasing my kids. And that's really the way I feel. I feel like everyone here can contribute, but you make that decision on your own. But I'll give a few suggestions on how you could do that. So what are the fundamental challenges? I think I'm going to talk about 3. The first fundamental challenge is that the government controls the political process. Now, this sounds, when we first sort of dug into this, sounds a little bit strange. Well, of course the government controls the political process. Of course they set the rules for elections, et cetera. The reality is, for 100 years, that was not the way our political system ran. For 100 years, political parties ran the political system. Elections were run by political parties. You didn't have a ballot where you went and checked off who you voted for. In the 19th century, the ballots were printed by the political parties and then distributed. And they all looked different. So when you walked in to vote, everyone knew who you were voting for, right? And people were proud of this. And they were proud enough to participate at a much higher level, right? From 1880 to 1896, the average number of people, eligible voters who voted in federal elections was above 80%. It was about 84% in the North, okay? In the 1996 election, turnout was about 49%. Okay? Well, why is that? The reason is because the government has increasingly added barriers to the political process. It's hard to get into the political process. You have